Assalamu alaikum. John Ghanim, a man who claims to have left Islam in front of Kaaba because some questions he had were not answered, or some problems he had in his head were not solved. Well, let's look at what he has to say. When he was asked what really happened, what is your life story like? He said, I grew up in a Muslim house. I'm Yemeni. I'm Muslim by birth. However, when I was growing up, I lost charm for religion. I could not find any peace in fasting. Fasting was like a burden for me. I could not pray 5 times a day. I just could not find a spark in it. Then my family decided to go to Mecca. And I thought, maybe in Mecca I will be able to gain that spark in my life, in my salah, in my prayers that I've lost. But when I reached Mecca, he says, I noticed that there is a box called Kaaba. Muslims go around it 7 times. And I was thinking maybe God lives in here. This is God's house. And then I realized that there's a black stone in the corner where we start our circling process around the Kaaba, which is called Tawaf. And the rock is called the Hajar Aswad, the black stone. So I was like, this is all man-made. This can't be the right religion. So I left Islam. Now, this is the same story that we hear over and over and over again from different parts of the world, where people are claiming to be Muslims and are leaving Islam and are calling themselves ex-Muslims. Unfortunately, these people never, ever put any thoughts into their arguments. Either they were planted, I don't know if they were ever Muslims or not, or these are made up stories, we don't really know, because how can so many people be repeating the same stories in different parts of the world with same arguments? Anybody who is a Muslim knows that Kaaba is not what we worship. And he's making a claim that these are all stones. And how can God live inside this place? It's all man-made. Of course, you never got it right in the first place. All houses of worship where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is worshipped, all the masajid, it is a name that is being used called this is the house of God. It doesn't mean that he lives there. Well, if you start looking into how Muslims define God, Muslims believe that God is free from space and from time. He's space from makan, he's free from makan, and he's free from zaman, the time and space. He doesn't belong. Neither of those two things fits the definition of God. He is beyond his creations. He doesn't sit on a throne on top of his creations. No, that's a very, very Christian concept. But Muslims do not have that concept. These are all God's creations. God is not bound by his creations. So the idea is that these are representations. And going around Kaaba is something that's been going on from the times of Abraham. It's an Abrahamic way, and probably before that too. But Arabs have been following that from the Abrahamic time, and even before Abraham, Kaaba was the house of worship. But anyway, long story short, and as far as the black stone is concerned, that was the stone that came with Adam from heavens and was put there in the Kaaba. And Muslims just honor it because the Prophet honored it. There is no significance of that stone other than Prophet honoring. So Muslims honor because Prophet honored it. That's it. Nobody worships black stone or black rock or Hajar Aswad. Kaaba is not worshipped. It's just a direction that brings Muslims together under one platform. They are all facing the same direction. Doesn't matter where they are in this world, they all face towards the Kaaba. Even if you are in air, like you're flying, you are in waters, doesn't matter. The direction could very easily be told. And figured out. It's not a big deal to figure it out. So the bottom line is the guy who got it all wrong in the first place and never went to anybody to get answers to his questions, which were very basic, simple questions, maybe the questions of a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old, or very, very little kid kind of questions he had, that compelled him to leave Islam right in Kaaba. This all doesn't fit well. Maybe he was already so agnostic, as he said, I became agnostic. Maybe he was. He just wanted to get to a point where he can declare his agnostic nature to the world, to himself. We don't know, but his arguments are very weak. His reasoning is very weak. His examples are so weak. And people were clapping. And these are the same kind of questions that we hear from people who are calling themselves ex-Muslims. I don't know why we don't hear ex-Hindus. It's not like people are not leaving Hinduism. There are tons and hundreds and thousands of them who are leaving it. They don't call themselves ex-Hindus or ex-Christians or ex-Jewish or ex-Buddhist. So it looks like they're all busy targeting Islam and Muslims. I feel pity when they bring in these childish examples and these childish behaviors. I don't have words to express, what do they get out of it? These questions could easily be answered by anybody who has some sense and basics of Islam. Assalamu alaikum.